Welcome to today's episode of the Inurere podcast series. I am your host, Bidemi and Justice. Let's talk about a beautiful tradition called Njangi. And I hope I'm pronouncing it right this time, but we will know about that later on. This is a practice of generosity and support that is deeply rooted in the Cameroonian culture. Cameroonians are known for showing concern for one another, whether it is time of joy or sorrow. This practice is particularly evident during pivotal moments like career promotions, weddings, and even funerals. The saying, "Die na Njangi," reflects the belief that we all need to show solidarity when someone in the community passes away. And at the same time, this support will be shown to you, when you need this support. This tradition leverages the Njangi system, where members of a social group pool resources together to support one another. And this is not just financial help, it extends to other forms of support as well. For example, women may gather during the farming season to help each other to cultivate large portions of land. And when a community member passes away, everyone rallies to support the bereaved family. People visit the home of the deceased, comfort the family, and help with various tasks. This practice actually dates back to the pre-colonial days, and it continues to reinforce the importance of reciprocal support. Even in more formal settings like ex-student associations or village groups, this practice is codified in their bylaws, ensuring structured support for members during times of loss. So in a nutshell, this is a tradition of reciprocal support. It's a powerful display of solidarity and one of love that strengthens communal bonds. Today, we are honored to have Justice Mukete Tale as our guest. Justice Mukete is the country lead for GivingTuesday Cameroon and the co-founder of the Refugee Welfare Association Cameroon. He is a highly respected bilingual judge and human rights advocate with over 25 years of experience. He has deep knowledge of regional conventions in Europe, in Africa, and the Americas concerning detention conditions, due process, restrictions on torture, and ill treatment. Justice Mukete holds a PhD in international law and has attended numerous international courses in development, gender, human rights, and governance. He has made significant contributions in areas such as corporate governance, participatory development, and local leadership. Notably, he handed down a landmark judgment stopping a U.S. consortium from acquiring 70,000 acres of community land in Cameroon without the free, prior, and informed consent of the indigenous population. He is also the founder of the Global Network for Good Governance and has written extensively on the rule of law, anti-corruption, and human rights. Welcome, Justice Mukete. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much, Bidemi. It's my pleasure also.
Yes. Before we go any further, one of the things we like to do here is play a little game with our guests. Some of our listeners already know about this game, but you as a guest, you probably do not know. So you will pick a number and then you will answer a fun and thought-provoking question about giving. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
And my favorite number is number 4.
Yeah. You gave me the number before I could even. Okay, great. Let's do number 4.
Yes, number 4, please.
Okay, I'm gonna look for number 4 now. Okay, number 4 says, how do you feel about receiving help? What are your thoughts about receiving help? Or an act of
My
kindness?
thoughts about about receiving help is some sort of a social obligation, because, as I say, one hand cannot tie a bundle in an African tradition. So if you need to move forward, there must be this mix of having support from somewhere, because you cannot solve all your own problems. when you move, you need assistance, and also people also need assistance from you. So I think that it is just but normal as human beings, and especially with our background of, the issue of the promotion of generosity, community life, and community development. It is a social obligation to receive help, whatever you are, even
Absolutely.
if you are the president of the house. Yes.
I mean, pick another number and then we can move on.
Yes, I'm sorry for the part of the problems, connectivity problems. I'm sorry for that lapse of communication.
That is okay. That is fine.
The range from what to what, please? 1 to what? The numbers,
It's from 1
please.
to 30.
1 to 10. Okay, number 16, please.
Okay, let's pick number 16. 16 says, tell us about a time when you felt overwhelmed by someone's generosity towards you. What did that person do?
Great, great, great. In fact, about 30 plus years ago, I landed in a small town called Limbe. By then, it was very small. It's a key center now, commercial activity by the side of the Atlantic Ocean. When I reached there, I just had my what they call ordinary level here, which is a WEAC equivalence of ordinary level. So I had to go to high school, and it was raining. It was on the 19th of September, 1983. I remember very well. So I had to go to the high school to seek for admission. In fact, I met a gentleman called Martin. I never met him before. And he decided to give me his umbrella for me to use for a 10-kilometer walk. Yes, about 10 kilometers before I could have a taxi to go to where I was going to. Because where we were at that particular moment, it was practically difficult. And if I missed that day, it was the last day for me to get registered. I marked that instance of generosity till tomorrow, as we say, because it is when I entered high school 2 years later that I had my advanced level to be right to enter university for me to gain university studies. That mark of generosity has never escaped my memory throughout my life. That I could take along and take away the umbrella. I did
Oh
not give
no.
him back the umbrella when it was so interesting.
One of the things I love about this podcast is how I hear stories like this, how simple acts have impacted our lives. And this is one that just
Sure,
puts a smile on my face.
sure.
I mean, moving forward, I want to talk about
Yes,
the theme of our podcast in this season. The theme of our podcast for this particular year is Inurere. Inurere is a Yoruba term for generosity, but in plain words, it means someone who is selfless, someone who has a clean heart, someone who has a mind of goodness, of kindness, and good fortune. It's like the pinnacle of a perfect society. And that is the theme of our podcast. Now, I want to believe that there is generosity in your place where you are from. There is a word like Inurere where you are from. And if that word exists, what is it called? What does it mean? How is it expressed?
I think there are words like that in the various ethnic groups. But if I want to come out with what cuts across, a word that cuts across many of the English, the ethnic groups which are found in English part of Cameroon, I know of one very good word that you talk about njo. When you say njo, it's something which is free.
Okay.
which does not have any strings attached. Something that you give and you are happy doing it, not because you have much, but you feel you have compassion and you feel for the other person because of a situation where he or she finds himself. That word cuts across almost all the ethnic groups in the English-speaking regions, the two regions of Cameroon. It is exactly what we are talking about in Inurere, in the local balance of generosity that you cited. So say,
love it.
this one Nanjo, no attachment, free of charge. You use it to grow and enhance what you are doing, and you increase your horizon.
That is beautiful. Now we are moving into the podcast proper, right? I want to ask a few questions and then we'll be done with this podcast.
Okay.
So Cameroonians are known for their incredible generosity. I mean, Cameroon is really close to me, like close to us, Nigeria. But as well, Cameroonians are known for their support, the support they show towards other people's goals. Apologies. And that is the spirit that is embedded in the culture. So Njangi is a beautiful example of that. And I'm sure that there are other traditions. I know, just like Nigeria, there are ethnic groups and languages that, different cultures within some of the cultures that we already know. And these cultures also reflect the same spirit of kindness, the same spirit of solidarity. So, Justice Mukete, can you share some other traditions that in your community? And you are well traveled, so it's possible you've even encountered ones that are outside of your community that demonstrate this generous spirit. Are there practices? Are there festivals? Are there community gatherings that embody different traditions and you share it with the world, share it with the Ubuntu audience?
Thank you very much, Bidemi. Njangi, in our local parlance here, what they call bush English, which is pidgin English, means table banking. It is a form of putting resources together to assist one person at a particular moment. So that or giving or sharing manifests itself very well when there is a death celebration, when somebody is low down, very, very low, is bereaved, has something which is like when there was the flood in one of our towns here in Boya that killed many people and caused a lot of material damage. The aspect of Njangi is not necessarily limited to death as such, expands and cuts across issues of sorrow, when there is celebration, when there is marriages, when there are, that is the spirit of what it means by generosity. And if we want to take one particular aspect of this, as you earlier said when you were doing the introductory remarks, it is when one is in sorrow, when one has a very particular challenge. There is that laid down unwritten rules within our communities that obliges the other persons, neighbors, family members, colleagues, students associations, and things like that. They come together, they pull resources together, and they put it at the disposal of that particular person to show king-size solidarity and generosity. And in turn, you are also obliged morally when it is somebody who is in such a particular situation for you to reciprocate in this type of gesture. That is how it operates here. And it's so effective, so smooth, very minor hitches. It is not a tax, it is a voluntary something within the means and opportunities that are available. And it's not only money. Let me tell you, at times when there is a death celebration, people come with cooked food which is cooked, traditional dishes of all sorts. People come with 5 or 10 liters of white stuff, raffia wine, palm wine. People come with small crates of anything that is going to help contribute in the success of that particular occasion. And that is how the movement, the generosity movement, now goes across to various communities, and there is this networking. And within the long run, it becomes a part and parcel of their own very existence and their way of doing things. That is the spirit of Dai Njangi here in Cameroon.
I loved how you said people come together to make king-sized generosity. I've never heard that term before, and I really love it. When you said when someone does this, when the community comes together, to help someone, that person also feels, so full of love. They want to reciprocate that love, right? So support is given, support is received. It is done during significant moments of life, joyful, sorrowful. The idea of mutual aid and kindness, it's such a beautiful tradition. Can you tell us about a time where you experienced this particular kind of generosity? It could be during a time of joy or sorrow. How did it make a difference? How did it help you?
Yes, I'll use 2 examples. One when it was a sad occasion, and the other one when it was a positive occasion. In fact, when I lost my mother on the 10th of March 2020, I can tell you that it is just within the context of all what I'm trying to explain to you that made me very, very strong. Because within my own family, we sat and came out with a budget to see how we could go ahead and assure you that what I received from friends in terms of material, financial, moral support was more than 500%, percent, as against what their family had prepared and had arranged for my mother to be given a very befitting burial. That is one of the most recent apex of the kind of solidarity and generosity and community life that we are talking about, helping each other. On the other hand, when I had to graduate from the Celandish University in Italy, after having defended my PhD thesis on the 23rd of September 2020, it was a joyful ceremony within the judiciary that, one of us, because we always believe in increase in knowledge base. If so many judges of my caliber are they enhance their knowledge, they will deliver more better judgments, they will apply international law, and there will be less abuse of human rights and violations of human rights in our community. We have easy access to justice, promotion of the rule of law, all those things. The vices will be reduced. So the more judges, magistrates, and the rest are trained and they acquire knowledge, the less violations and abuses, because they will be well equipped with tools. So when I came back with this elephant, in quotes, when I backed it, I had to, my friends, colleagues just decided to organize something and recognizing as a form of recognition the apex, the level that had reached. And I can tell you that it was so marvelous that more than 90% of what was happening, it is they who contributed in one way or the other for the ceremony to be successful. That is the type of solidarity we are talking about.
I envy, the kind of support you've received. This is really beautiful. And I'm really happy you have this kind of support system, at communal levels and even where you work. I have one more question and then we'll be done with our podcast for today.
Yes,
Njangi is a powerful example. It tells us how communities can come together and shift things and change things, and in terms of occurrences, or if like you talked about the flooding, how people came together to support families that were affected by the flood. This tradition fosters generosity in a manner that is really inspiring. What lessons do you think other communities can learn from Njangi, and how can they begin to apply these principles even for us, at institutional level? Are there principles, are there aspects of this tradition that we should start picking up?
Yes, thank you very much, Bidemi. The first thing we need to know is that Njangi favors relationship currency as against professional currency. What does it mean? It means that you must appreciate the existence of your fellow members in the community as human beings, knowing that whether how high you are in society, whenever something happens, be it good or bad, it is your very community that you have to go back there and celebrate or make it known to them. So the first thing is to build this tie with your community. If you are not open enough to know that you are the same as your next neighbor, though you may be different. And I like the way the Europeans put it when they were fighting against discrimination. The slogan was, all different, all equal, which is a very great message and a very great entry point into community life. This works very well in our African society, which is not well so much exposed and adulterated with issues of, being autonomous, being to yourself, doing your own things yourself. We have a very high spirit of community life. If you enter a small town and you don't have a place to sleep, you go straight to any house and you knock. Once they identify you, or even they don't identify you, they don't identify you, go to the mayor's house, the mayor's office. You have a place to sleep. You have water to drink. You have somebody to lend you support. So, if I may recommend, in summary, first thing, appreciate your neighbor as a fellow human being. 2, be open to criticism and to the need to receive things, and to know that you cannot have all the things you want and all the support, no matter what level you are in society, as I was saying. Not whether you are a minister or you are a president the resources are never available to your maximum. That is, they're never enough. They can never be. So whether it is just that weight of sorry for what has happened, a small bottle of water for you to drink, somebody just passing by with a kettle to say this is some warm water, it will be of use to you. And all these small things put together, as it says, a drop of water that makes an ocean, goes in to relieve the person who is in pains or suffering or passing through some very difficult moment. I think that is
Thank you very
entry
much.
point.
That was amazing. That was beautifully described. This is the last segment. This is where I call it the fun part of the show because I've been doing all the asking. Now it's your turn to ask me a question. You can ask me anything or steer this conversation wherever your curiosity takes you. So is there something you would like to ask?
Well, there is nothing that I'm going to ask you that I'm sure you do not know. But as the rules oblige, you are setting the rules. I also want to find out when was the last time that you perceived, you saw and experienced generosity, whether in sorrow or in positive part of your own life.
I think I experience generosity every day, but let me talk about one. So I have a
Okay.
huge event coming up later on this year. And because, I have this podcast, I have a few episodes to record. I have a few things to do here and there. A friend of mine took it upon herself to help me get everything I will need. She would go to the market, she will call me, she will send me pictures. She will sometimes buy everything that I need with her money, knowing I would give her back, of course. But because she wanted me to have enough time and also not be distracted with work, she took that burden on herself. And she knows I do not like to go to market often. So that is one act of generosity that I absolutely appreciate. Her name is Glory, and I hope Glory gets to listen to this podcast because I really love you and I love that you support and you're always of help. That help, you might think it's small, but it relieved me.
Okay, that was very good, very good. And I hope Glory knows that what she did is well appreciated. That is the other part of it.
Yes.
If somebody does so generous, says you should put your hands together to uplift you, and you don't appreciate it, it dampens the spirit of generosity. That is why we must always
Absolutely.
go back and say thank you to our communities, thank you to our partners, thank you to all the people around us. And as I'm thanking you, global family and the one in Africa, for this opportunity given me to explain one or two aspects about generosity from my own perspective. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Justice Mukete. And thank you all for joining us on this episode of the Inurere podcast series. We hope you enjoyed learning about Cameroon's dying Njangi and hearing the incredible insight Justice Mukete has shared. Remember, generosity is a timeless principle. It cuts across languages and borders. You've heard us talk about different terminologies in our own languages and communities. This is how we come together. This is how we can shape our communities and inspire people to support one another in meaningful ways. Join us next time as we continue to explore the rich traditions of African giving and keep celebrating the spirit of generosity that binds us all. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye. Bye bye.